Hi, I'm Dan Bowman.
And I'm Kat Zaccarelli. We're the visual arts teachers at Eastline Middle School.
With all that is going on right now, our first priority is our students' safety. With the reduced class sizes, we have been able to keep the students distanced by having individual desks for each student. They are also required to wash their hands before and after their art class.
Students now only have our 1 day a week in the classroom, as well as a meeting every other week on Zoom. There's also an out-of-class homework assignment that is to be completed during the part of the week the student is at home.
Our goal this year is to make art as normal as possible and continue to create fun and engaging art lessons.
Okay.
The Silhouette project is done in 7th grade. Each student chooses their own theme and does research into different images that can be turned into silhouettes. The problem is to find images that retain their recognizability when you fill it in with shadow. There is also problem solving involving how the figures or objects relate to each other to help tell a story. Students also learn about atmospheric perspective and different ways of completing their compositions so that there is no negative space. A history of silhouettes through time is also given so that we may understand how this art form has evolved.
Throughout their time at Eastline Middle School, students will slowly increase their knowledge and skills working with clay. In the beginning, learning a simple slab technique to create projects such as these owls will help students grasp a better understanding of how clay behaves. Next, students will create funky designs as they explore coil pots and learn the very important skill of score and slip to attach clay. Artists will also have an opportunity to create sculptures which combine all of these techniques, like these silly gargoyles and fall pumpkins.
In 5th grade, we do a painted collage based on coastal landscape. Students paint on sheets of paper in different textures, mirroring the oceans of blues and greens. When dry, they carefully rip them up horizontally, creating the white caps of waves. Learning about overlapping, they then cut silhouetted figures and boats and place them in different areas of the ocean. Finally, each student paints a background sunset to complete the landscape.
Creating portraits, learning the portions of the face, as well as facial features, is another skill students will touch upon. In these examples, students learned how to carefully mix different shades and tints to create monochromatic portraits of some of their favorite role models.
Usually, our printmaking unit is done in 8th grade. Students are given small pieces of linoleum and a carving tool. After they transfer their images onto the linoleum, they must decipher where the light parts are. These light areas are where they must carve into. After it is carved, students use a brayer to spread ink over the linoleum. They then put a piece of paper and a linoleum through a printing press, and the ink transfers onto the paper, giving them the final product. Students can then play with different color inks for varied results.
Students will learn about several different types of printmaking. Here is an example of a foil relief students created to mimic the idea of a metal printing plate. After pressing their design into the foil, students rub paint into the negative space. If this were an actual printing plate, it would then be flipped over and pressed firmly onto a piece of paper to create a print, kind of like a reverse stamp.
Each year, and hopefully this year, I run an after-school art club. The club runs for an hour after school and is open to all students in the middle school. It runs twice a year, one in the fall and one in the spring. Each week, I try to introduce new ideas and possible projects for students to try. However, mainly the club tends to run as a creatively open space where students are self-directed. Most have ideas of certain art projects they want to create, and my job is to help them realize those visions. Art Club runs as first come, first served basis and announced on the morning news when the permission slips are ready.
Bonjour, hola. I'm Mrs. Woods, and I am here with the World Language team for Eastline Middle School. So happy to see you. I have with me Danielle Holzapfel, who teaches Spanish, and Sally Empsch, who also teaches Spanish, and Kate Letelier, who teaches Spanish and French. So I'll start by telling you a little bit about what we do in fifth grade, and then each of my colleagues will talk about the other grades as we go along. So just a quick little background on myself. I was lucky enough to be born in Costa Rica and spend many of my summers there, which is how I got interested in Spanish. And I studied it all through my high school and college years. And then I also, along the way, picked up French because of my love of languages. So I have studied both languages in detail. And I also spent a lot of time right after college traveling around the world in the radio and television business. So I'm so happy to share my experiences with our students. To tell you a little bit about fifth grade, what we do is we introduce them to both languages. We have half a year of French, half a year of Spanish. It's an exploratory program, so we talk about geography and customs and holidays and special events that go on in each of these countries. We also introduce them to basic conversational skills. We talk about the basic things like the alphabet, numbers, a little bit of telling time, the days, the months, the seasons, the weather. We love to talk about the weather, and it's a lot of fun. And so halfway through the year, round about January, we switch off and we switch over to Spanish, or if we've been doing Spanish, we switched to French. All of us are currently teaching fifth grade, and those, Kate and I, who teach both languages, will be teaching the French in the second semester. So it's a lot of fun, and at the end of the year, the students decide which language they would like to go to through the rest of their middle school years. So it's a lot of fun, and welcome to our world language. I'm going to pass this on to Mrs. Empsch now, who will tell you about sixth grade.
All right, so in our sixth grade, some of the topics that are included are giving basic information about oneself. They do introductions, they say how old they are, how they're feeling, where they're from. They also learn to express their needs in the classroom using the verbs need and want. They learn the basic commands in Spanish as well. Have saying that I do need this. They learn from the teacher the commands of classroom courtesy, I should say. We also discuss parts of the body and clothing, and that also has to do with the weather, as we wear different items for different weather. They share their likes and dislikes, their preferences, and their classes that they like, and the clothes that they wear, all the things that we've been talking about previously. They describe themselves and they describe others as well, how they're feeling, if they're energetic, if they're, feeling well, those kinds of things. But we also exchange information about what we do with our actions, that being the daily activities that have to do around school life and home life as well. So a little bit about myself. Like Leslie, I was born in a Latin country. I was born in Guatemala. I lived there for a year after high school with my grandmother and my aunt. So that was a wonderful thing. I got to know the culture very well and my family members. I also had the fortune of being an international flight attendant. So I have traveled around the world extensively, as has Leslie. And we both like to bring that culture, the things that we've learned overseas, to our classroom, to give our students a broader view of the world. Danielle?
Hello, I'm going to share with you about seventh grade after I share about myself. I hail from the Midwest, although I had the good fortune of being able to study abroad in Spain and do a little bit of travel. Before moving to Connecticut, I taught in both Indianapolis and Kansas City. Like most of you, I have students in the East Lyme School District. So in seventh grade, they're going to start the year talking about school life. They're going to learn how to tell time and read a schedule and discuss how they feel about school in general. But they're also going to learn about what school is like in Spanish and French speaking countries, so they can compare and contrast how their lives differ. Next, we're going to move on to talking about what they like to do in their free time. They'll learn how to say who they spend their free time with, how often they get to do things with these people, and how they feel about their free time. We'll end the year talking about food and beverages. They will be able to name common foods from international countries. They'll be able to share their opinion about food, and by the end, they'll be able to order off of a basic menu and use great etiquette that you should in a restaurant, all in the target language. I will pass it on to Kate.
Hi, I'm Kate Letelier, and I am a French and Spanish teacher here at the middle school. In terms of my background, I teach both French and Spanish. I've had extensive travel experience. I was able to study in both Spain and Mexico in college. I've went into the Peace Corps and was in the Peace Corps in Poland, so I do speak Polish as well. And then last summer, Mrs. Woods and I were able to, with a grant with funds for teachers, went and studied in France for 2 to 3 weeks. It was a wonderful experience, and I like to bring all those travel experiences back to the classroom and talk to my students about those kind of things. In 8th grade, we will be first learning how to identify and describe family members. That's what we're working on right now. And then we will move on to our traveling around the city unit. We'll learn how to name the places in town and learn how to ask for and give directions in the city. In our last unit, we will be trying to choose a destination for a vacation and in a foreign country, and talk about basic travel and understanding transportation and schedules, how to make a reservation, selecting attractions, and deciding what to pack. So that kind of wraps up what we do in 8th grade. Now, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email us at our Eastline Public School email addresses. And that's it. It was wonderful to talk to all of you.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Yes.
Adios.
Adios.
Hi, and welcome to our virtual Taste of the Arts. This is very different for us this year. Usually we have students in class showing you what we're doing in life skills. We're going to do things a little bit different this year and just kind of give you an overview as to what we do in life skills in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I am Mrs. MacArthur. This is my 14th year teaching. All have been here at Eastline Middle School. And my contact information is on the screen if you'd like to reach out for any questions.
I'm Mrs. Oliver. I'm the other life arts teacher. This is my 12th year of teaching and my 2nd year here at Elms. So life skills is one of the 3 trimester classes. All students will see art, tech ed, and life skills in a rotation throughout the year.
In 5th grade life skills, we start the year with our challenge program. Our challenge program is a program where we have a police officer come in from Eastline Police Department. Our challenge officer is Officer Don Hull, and he comes to talk to our students about self-esteem and decision-making and drug prevention. While we are going through the challenge program at home, your students will be virtually working on assignments related to stress and peer pressure and developing friendships. When we complete the challenge program, 5th graders are going to start their human growth and development unit. In 5th grade, we focus on the basics of puberty, the social, emotional, and physical changes that their bodies and minds go through during the years they're going through puberty.
In 6th grade, this year, we're starting off in the human growth and development unit, just reviewing some of the changes of puberty from last year. And we're really focusing on those social emotional changes that are experienced during adolescence. Classes in school and out of school will surround things like friendships and family types. We are also going to be talking about drug prevention education, both in school and at home. We're going to continue talking from last year a little bit more about peer pressure and making good, healthy decisions for their bodies. In 6th grade, we are also planning on doing a simple hand sewing unit where students will learn basic hand stitches, such as a running stitch, and how to thread a needle, how to sew on a button, and make a small project.
In 7th grade, we're going to continue our unit with human growth and development. 5th grade is really just the basics. 6th grade is an overview. 7th grade, we're kind of taking a more in-depth look at the biology of why these changes happen and different organs in the body that are responsible for the changes. We'll also be working on a drug prevention education unit this year in 7th grade, where we're focusing on what is addiction and the difference between use, abuse, and addiction. And we do plan on completing a simple hand sewing project in 7th grade as well, with the basic stitches like running stitches, button, and whip stitches.
Our 8th grade human development will begin with a review of the reproductive system from last year, and we will move into some topics such as sexually transmitted diseases and contraception. At home, students will be learning a little bit more about adolescence and as they get older, some social and emotional changes that may experience with friendships and relationships. Our drug prevention education will work on some education about addiction, continuing from last year. We will also focus on prevention of things like vaping and tobacco use, as well as opiate use and abuse. And in 8th grade, we're also planning on doing a simple sewing machine project. So students will learn how to use a sewing machine and make a basic project with some stitches on the machine.
We both have Google Classroom set up for each of our classes, and that's where your students can find their Wednesday Google Meets. We host those right through their Google Classroom. Their Google Classroom is also where they can find any of their assignments that are posted. We post materials that go along with their assignments in Google Classroom. Students are also able to ask anonymous questions during our Human Growth and Development unit right through Google Classroom. And your students are more than welcome to post any questions that they have right on the stream. And other students are really helpful in answering those questions, as well as Mrs. Oliver and I. We look forward to getting to know your students this year, even though it's a little bit different than usual. And we hope you all have a wonderful school year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mr. Shepard, one of the physical education teachers here at Eastline Middle School.
Hi, my name is Mrs. Favory. I'm one of the PE teachers here at the Eastline Middle School.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Cunningham, one of the Eastline Middle School phys ed and health teachers.
Hi, my name is Miss A. I am one of the physical education teachers here at Eastline Middle School.
Just want to give you a sneak preview of what our students go through on a normal day here in physical education class. Once they arrive here at the gym, they have designated locker spaces, been marked by tape on the floor where they're going to place all of their personal belongings that they do not need for class. Once they've done that, they will come to their attendance line spaces that have been measured and marked by green tape on the floor. The teacher would then go through and take attendance of students that are here present in class. And once that's done, we work our way down the row, providing sanitizer to each of our students. We do allow students to use their own if they bring their own here to class. And once all students are sanitized, attendance has been taken, we will usually go through a overview of what we're going to do for the day, and we always begin with our daily warm-up. In addition to our physical education curriculum, our students at Eastline Middle School will also partake in health education. 5th and 6th graders will learn and study units of nutrition, disease prevention, first aid, and CPR, while 7th and 8th graders will also study nutrition, disease prevention, and mental health.
Hi everyone. We're going to talk to you about general music a little bit today. My name's Colin McCune. I teach 5th and 6th grade at Eastline Middle School.
My name's Justin Daly. I teach 7th and 8th grade general music.
My name is Karen Carlson. I teach 6th grade general music.
So the first thing I want to tell you about general music is it takes place in the music lab, which means that each student has access to a computer and their own digital piano, and they also have access to a multitude of instruments that we use for the class. General music is a student-centered class as opposed to a group-centered class, an ensemble class like our other music classes are. A lot of the work that students do in general music will be on their own.
So this year we'll be using a new learning management system called Music First. It is an online software that is free for the students, and it will allow them to work both asynchronously and synchronously. So this year, as you all know, we have different cohorts and virtual Vikings and a lot of different things going on. So this software will make it very easy to just assign everyone one thing to do and give them work to do. It also syncs with Google Classroom, and we can post assignments through that. We are trying to keep it all on one platform rather than give each student 5 different logins for all these different websites. Music First has everything all on it, right, ready to go.
General music is also a place for the kids to just come and have some fun and really learn how to appreciate music. Some of the things we're going to cover in general music will be piano keyboarding, music composition, world drumming, multicultural music, instruments of the orchestra, classical composers, guitar, and ukulele. So we're really looking forward to having a really fun year, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Hello, I'm Nan Rigdon. I'm the choir director here at Eastline Middle School. Choir looks a little bit different this year, but the things that we're working on is proper vocal technique and posture and movement to emphasize the direction the notes are going. We're working on breathing. We'll be working on note reading and soulfish singing to help ourselves sing the correct notes and pitches in the correct time. We'll be working on singing alone and in groups, and I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone. For those of you who have not met me, my name's Colin McCune. I am teaching 7th and 8th grade band at Eastline Middle School this year. I, the past few years, have been teaching 5th and 6th grade band, and now I'm doing 7th and 8th. Obviously, band is going to be a little bit different this year than it has in the past. A couple of important things to note are we are not going to have any concerts at this point in time. That may change, but right now there's no concerts. There's also no lessons during the school day. So students will still come to the band room for their band classes, but there will not be any of the twice monthly meetings with simple instrument groups. That said, we are still going to play our instruments in class. That's a staple in a band program, obviously. So we will be getting some special equipment that's going to help us play our instruments safely. As soon as that stuff arrives, we'll begin to play our instruments. Obviously, band is a group-centered activity for the most part, but this year we're turning to more of an individual focus to help us sort of balance things out. In order to do that, we've acquired some software from a company called Music First, and that's going to help us sort of run a more online focused band program where students can practice certain things online, do lessons on their own online. That's going to be a huge help, but I know that it is one of many software items that students are working with and that parents are working with this year. So if we need help with that, please let me know. I'm happy to assist in any way that I can. Another goal of the music department that I think is important to mention this year is that we are focusing on discussing music from different countries and different cultures. We have a world map posted in our room, And our goal as a band room, as well as an entire department, is to make sure we're discussing music not just from the United States and not just from Europe, which is where a lot of our music comes from, but we're going to discuss music that comes from all over. And every time we talk about a different piece of music or a composer that comes from a different area, we're going to put a push pin in our map. Sorry about that. We're going to put a push pin in our map, and that's going to help us make sure we're discussing music from many different cultures. I think that's important as a music program to talk about. Those are all my important things to tell you. As always, if you have any questions about anything at all, please email me. I will help in any way that I can. Looking forward to a good year.
Hi everyone, this is Justin Daly. I teach 5th and 6th grade band here at East Lyme Middle School. As many of you know, this is my first year in East Lyme, and I'm very excited to be here. So far, over the past couple weeks, we've been having a lot of fun here in band class. The 5th graders have been learning how to put their instruments together, how to hold them, how to make sounds on them. We've also been reviewing some of the work that we learned in elementary school on note reading and rhythm reading, and we're going to combine those two skills of note and rhythm reading and the instruments to make music this year. We're really excited about that. We're going to get them playing really soon. In 6th grade, we will be working on the work that Mr. McCune did last year, continuing working on note and rhythm reading, as well as working a little bit more on scale playing and playing real band music. So again, the kids are really excited. I'm really excited to be here, and please let me know if you ever have any questions or concerns, and I'm happy to be here and happy to answer those for you. Thank you, everybody.
Hi everybody, my name is Laura Beth Wendelin. I am the orchestra director here at East Lyme Middle School, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing this year. My 5th graders, we are learning parts of our instrument, we're learning where the notes are on our instrument, we're learning how to make some sounds and how to do some basic songs, and we will eventually move into note reading. My 6th graders are continuing on their journey they started last year of learning how to read music. We are moving and grooving. They are moving so quickly through this. I'm very proud of them. And then my 7th and 8th graders are sort of on a case-by-case basis because every class is different. So students had a lot of freedom this year to choose, okay, we want to play this song or we want to do this genre of music. So the 7th and 8th graders are really like taking charge of their education this year, and we're having a blast. If you have any questions, please do not feel weird to email me. I am here, ready to answer all your questions, and looking forward to seeing all of you this year. Bye.
How's it going? I'm Mr. Grant, here with kind of the virtual Taste of the Arts, back to school night, kind of showing you guys what your students are going to be doing in Tech Ed. I'm in the wood shop right now. We work with the 8th graders on all the machines you see behind me. They use the bandsaw, the scroll saws, the sanders, the miter saw. They use kind of like calling out my name and letting me know that they are they're using it so I can make sure that they're safe. We have the drill presses, and we have our computer-controlled cutting device, our CNC router, as it's called. And so we all use that, and we use all these tools to really kind of focus not so much on a traditional woodworking experience, but more of the engineering design process. And that's really what we look at pretty much all 4 years of Tech Ed at East Lyme Middle School. We look at it through a couple different lenses. In 5th grade, it's really just a super heavy focus on the engineering design process, and you'll see as we get into the classroom side of the wood shop, where up on the board we are actually doing engineering design process with our kids right now, looking at it kind of really just super basic layman's terms, problem solving process. You'll notice we have the kind of plexiglass dividers up between all the computers. We have some hand sanitizer stations so the kids are always kind of at their safest. So like I said, 5th and 8th grade are traditionally here, but we've got grades 5 through 8 here, which is why we now have computers in there, because we are also tying in some 3D printing. 5th grade is all about just basic engineering design process. Every kind of week or two, we'll hit them with a new problem that they have to solve, and then we'll work through the steps, focusing really on the engineering design process and how engineers use that. In 8th grade, I challenge them to make a catapult on their own. Before we get into that, we do a small woodworking unit where the kids make a little wooden knot puzzle that they have to then solve. So that is the 8th grade kind of unit, along with the 5th grade moving into the computer studio, or the computer studio, the morning news studio. This is where our morning news is broadcast from every day. You'll see we also have plexiglass dividers in here to keep the kids safe, and we have some plexiglass dividers and cardboard kind of dividers in the studio to keep kids separated. The student news is a entirely student produced broadcast. I'm doing a bit more this year just because we have lower numbers, because we have to keep the cohorting smaller. But traditionally it's all the kids. I'm just here as kind of the chaperone. We are looking at trying to get it up and running on YouTube so that all you virtual Viking kids can check it out every day, and then also the cohort A and B students can check it out on days when they aren't in school.
Well, hello, I'm Mr. Spranklin. Welcome. This is our computer lab. So you've taken the tour through the wood shop, the manufacturing facility, and the TV studio, and now we're in what we call our computer lab. And we were very fortunate last year where we were able to get all new computers for this room. We really, they were long overdue, and we've really got some great machines in here. We've thinned the herd a little bit for social distancing purposes, so we've taken some of our computers and put them in the other room so that we were able to have a smaller class size and everybody would have distance. But again, this is the room. Again, we revisit our engineering design process where we iterate through multiple iterations of problem solving, and we teach the kids that, you know, it's okay to fail the first time you get through, and it's okay to fail even the second time you get through, because that's what we as engineers do. We solve problems, and along the way, it doesn't always necessarily work out the way we want. And then we go back and we brainstorm more ideas and eventually iterate to finding the perfect solution to any problem. In our 6th grade, what we do is we have a video unit where the students start to establish their skills in camera work and scene selection, but the best part is when they get to bring all of the scenes that they shoot into Adobe Creative Suites, which we again are fortunate enough to have been able to acquire for all of our students on all of these machines here, which the Adobe Creative Suites and Adobe Premiere for editing is actually a professional tool that you'll find in any of the top studios around the world. So they're getting exposure and they're getting a taste of what it really is like to edit, and in a real world environment. And this is just a video that we base on, that we use to demonstrate to them how to make basic edits and everything. So this is a fun unit. Kids usually respond very well to this unit. And then in 7th grade, we move into our 3D objecting unit, where the kids start to, instead of just playing around with 2-dimensional objects, which is your basic height and width, or your X and Y, they start to think about objects in 3D space, which is your Z axis. And they are going to start developing skills in modeling objects in 3-dimensional shape. And they learn how to create these objects, they learn how to precisely measure these objects along a plane, and they will end up with, this is one of our keychains that we designed, and the kids will design for themselves as well, and we'll get to then take and print them on our 3D printer, which we just so happen to have a tray that's printing right now. Maybe a little bit hard to see, but we have a tray printing our 2 of our keychains that we just modeled up. And those should be ready. As a matter of fact, I'll pause it and you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to see the progress. Those are going to be ready pretty soon. And it's nice because the students will have a keepsake to remember their tech ed experience by. So anyway, I thank you very much for coming and spending the time and taking the time to watch this video, and I hope you've enjoyed your virtual Taste of the Arts, and we'll hope to see you all in person soon. Take care. Bye now.